this video, I'm going to show you how I designed my graduation magnets. In my previous video, I showed you how I cut everything out using my Cricut Explorer, and that's what you see on the screen right now, the photo from my previous video. So I hope you enjoy. So you're going to head to your Canva app. I'm using my laptop and go to create a new design, size it 11 by 8.5, and then you're going to search for the shape that you want. So type in photo frame and a ton of different options are going to come up. I was actually thinking about trying out a new option, but then I eventually settled on the option that you saw in my previous video, or the shape that you saw in my previous video. But you can use whatever shape that you like. And so what this does is allows you to fill that frame with any background that you like. And so that's what I'm going to do right now. Go to the elements section, and I just typed in a chalkboard background, and you're going to see you essentially just drag and drop it in there. So boop, it's in there. A very important step is to lock the background. So you're going to hit on down to the lock option, and this allows you to add images on top of that background, because otherwise what will happen is it will try to fill that background with something different. So this allows you to layer it. So now I'm just adding the numbers. I like this Wildcat font because it's a school font. And I'm just going to play around with the colors. Like I mentioned, I'm just going to, this is just to show you an idea of how I create my magnets. Of course, this is not what you're required to do, but this is how I like to do mine. And I'm just going to play around with the fonts and outline it. You want to go to Effects and Outline, and Effects, Shadows, and Outline. I'm sorry, I missed a step. And then at that point, I'm going to close it in. I'm going to close the line spacing so that it's a little tighter. And then I'm going to stretch it out a bit. And I like to have it on the edge of the shape because when my Cricut cuts it out, it gives a cute design. So I'm going to go ahead and just change the color. And this is just a sample. I'm not actually going to use this for anything, just walking you through my process. So just going to move that until it's centered. And then the next thing I'm going to do is add the name at the bottom. And I'm going to use the same font, but of course you can use whatever font you like, because this of course is not limited to just a graduation magnet. There's so many different ideas and themes and events that you can use these magnets for. You can use them for birthday parties. So of course, you want to use a different font if you choose. You can use them for marketing events, anything that you can think of. But this specifically is for graduation. So now I'm just going to add some elements to the background. As you saw, I just typed in black and white balloons. And I like to outline my balloons. So I like to outline most of my things to make the images pop. So what I'm going to do is go to Edit, Shadows, Outline, and change the background color. If you do hashtag with lots of F's, that will give you the white background. And then I just reduce the size of that line so it's not too thick. So now I'm just looking for different elements to add some more details to this image. And so I'm going to type in confetti and see what that brings up. And I just put in there the first one that I saw. And I'm just going to go ahead and shrink that so that it fits properly within that shape. It has to fit all the way within the shape, because otherwise the outline will read those extra bits. And then, of course, those extra bits will be cut off in Cricut. Like the Cricut will go around and think that those are supposed to be a part of the image. So now I'm just adding some more verbiage, and you're going to see that I'm going to mess around with this because this is just a developing idea. No rhyme or reason. I was going in one direction and then I ended up in another direction. So I just did class of, choose a fun font that you like. And again, I'm going to outline this, but for this specific verbiage, I'm going to outline it in white as opposed to outlining in black. So I changed the main color to black so that the outline can be white. And then I'm going to bring the outline, I'm going to increase the size a bit so that it's a bit thicker. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for one of my little AI cuties, and whichever one I find, I'm just going to stick it in there. So you, of course, would use any photo that you have, a graduation photo, or if you want to do a mock-up. So I found this little guy. And so now that kind of just changed the direction of my design, because at first I was going for a high school design, but he was the first one that popped up. So now we're going to transition into a kindergarten design. And so we're going to change some of the verbiage here. So I outlined him as well. And so I was debating about keeping him outlined in black, but then I settled on the white outline. So I'm going to change the verbiage, and then I'm going to add this back. I was just kind of going back and forth trying to figure out what I wanted to do here. But I really just wanted to give you all an idea of how I design my magnets. So we're going to go ahead and just add some verbiage here. And that's what you see right now. And then eventually I'm going to add back in the class of, which I'm going to do right now. I was just back and forth with this. But overall, you all get the concept, and you have an idea of how I design this. And it's super, super simple. You add the elements that you like, add the photo, add the name and the year. And I just changed the font. That's the kindergarten font, but it looks a little scary. But I just kept it there for the sake of this tutorial. And if you want to change the color to match what you have in the actual image, you can do that. As you see, I just went down to that option, and I was able to match it with the exact color of his little capping gown. And the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to add a logo, and that's just an option if you like. Well, what am I doing here? Well, I'm not going to add a logo, apparently, not yet. So I was looking for some other elements to kind of make it cutesy and kindergarten-like. And I just settled on this little pencil, and then you'll see that I am going to be looking for some other options, this ABC, and I searched and I searched and I searched, and I couldn't find what I was looking for exactly. So just give me a minute as I scroll through the ABC, and I just eventually just settled for something, and then I end up not using it. So that's the whole creative process. You know, you have to figure out what looks right, what works for you, what works for your customer. And you just have to try out different options until it all comes together and it looks cohesive. So you see I added these little blocks, and then I decided not to use them because there's just too much going on. And I'm just going to stick with the pencil because this is not an actual design that I'm going to sell. All right, now we're going to add the logo. You see his little capping gown matches the logo, and there you have it, my friends. That is my design process, and watch the other video to show you how I assemble.